Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and Devin and I are continuing Middara, Unintentional Mallum Act 1. We are now in Chapter 2! But Devin and I were just discussing how everyone is just sexy as hell. Because I was going to point at this, and I'm like, look, this outfit would be fine even if she wore just a thong. But one unconventional breeze of the wind, it's just full snatch. Just like... I don't know, but you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Wear whatever you want. But
it's anime. You gotta style it up.
Exactly. But no, we were talking about. I was going to ask you, out of the four of these, which alternation would you rather have?
Oh, what? Like become like a goat person?
Yep, goat. Yeah, with a tail. Super jacked.
I mean, wings would be kind of cool,
right? I feel like they'd get in the way.
It would. It would make, just general, like, being indoors more difficult.
Yeah. I was even thinking just sleeping.
Yeah.
Like, how do you sleep now?
I mean, for general, like, free muscle. I mean, just being fucking jacked would be pretty cool.
I mean, maybe Zeke's transformation was he just gets all the poon he wants.
Does it say anything about his transformation?
Let's see. Not really. He has blue hair.
Can I see it?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna... Yeah, he really doesn't...
Because everyone else has a pretty obvious thing. But yeah, Rook doesn't seem to have any... It might be just the females who happen to get... Because even if we kind of look back on, like, the first chapter, like, if we're looking at, like, people, like, there's her with bat wings. That's the teacher. Oh, hey, there's the... God, that's so gross.
There's an owner right now.
Oh, there's the creature that went into her butt. No, he changed. That's her brother, Yol.
Okay.
Who's like an asshole. So it looks like
still sexy.
Yeah, still sexy.
Is that like her mom?
I think that's her.
Shit?
That's Zeke's mom.
Just like, hey, mom.
Fucking hey. That's like his adoptive mom.
Boy.
Let's see. I'm just trying to... hold on, I'll dog ear that page real quick for later.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Let's see. I thought they showed a little bit more, like...
Wasn't it like her sister
there was one
with
her dad... Oh, that's her sister, Kalis.
Damn.
I could have sworn they had one with her dad.
Yeah, there is one. I remember seeing him. He like had a cape and shit.
Come on, yeah, he was like fiery. He looked pretty badass. Yeah, I mean, hot ass, thin body. That's Arson. I think that's her older sister.
Yeah.
But no, that's her mom. Yes,
gotcha.
That's the queen. And then there's her dad.
Gotcha.
And this is Zeke's Zeke's sister.
Gotcha. Hey, sis.
You ready to play doctor again? Yep, and then the dad's
Christ.
fucking... Yep, everyone... So yes, if you are ugly on Earth, and you go to Middara, you're golden.
Sexiest.
You become immortal, and you're hot as hell.
Why wouldn't you go to Middara?
I don't know. So far, I haven't figured out a reason why you wouldn't. Because there's portals, and there's gates that are well known.
Right.
So...
Like the downside is that there's monsters and dangerous shit.
I mean, yeah, but there's also immediate death on Earth.
Yeah.
I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't come here, except for the lack of technology.
Yeah.
Like, I 100% believe if Hogwarts or Harry Potter existed, magic is badass, but if you are accustomed to technology, you would be miserable.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you gotta have the best of both worlds.
Like, can you also have a phone?
Right?
It's like, yeah, I mean, the magic's cool and all, and I like that. I like making shit float, but can I also instant message? Like,
right.
Do I have to write a note that screams at people?
Right. Or fucking...
Through an owl?
Can I text my friends instead of rely on owl travel? Alright. So we are starting Chapter 2, arriving at Romstead. And once again, this video is most likely going to be just story until we get to... It's not as long, but I like to at least start the things by getting to at least deciding on where we want to go. So, let's get started.
Arriving at Romstead. So what is this Romstead like exactly? Nightingale's voice sounded from ahead of them, bubbling with new energy after a night's rest. Despite how little experience they all had with Midaran wilderness, they'd made it most of the way to Romstead without incident. Despite her condition, Nightingale almost always stayed out in front, even when that meant having to take course corrections from Remy. Remy didn't mind. She walked with her wings out, spread just far enough to catch the breeze constantly blowing off the ocean. It was a nice reminder of the time she'd spent learning to fly, just after arriving on Middara. Remy opened her mouth to answer, but Rook spoke before she could. One of the smallest cities in the kingdom, according to the maps. Think of a fish market, then picture it a little bigger. That's Romstead. Remy choked back a laugh, quite unsuccessfully. Her friends all turned, staring at her. I think your information might be a little out of date, Rook. Remy glanced once at the trail ahead of them, searching for trail markers. She couldn't see any, but she could hear the sound of distant waves, a sure sign they were close. Romstead hasn't been like that since I got to Middara. She swung her arms and wings at the same time exaggeratedly. It's so alive. Ships are always coming in, so there's always somebody new to talk to. Way more chaotic than Alinea, but that just means there's more to do. Oh, Rick shrugged. Well, you know, your family lives there, right? Yeah. Remy turned away from her friends, speeding up a little. I spent my first year on Middara here before going off to the Institute. When I arrived to Middara, I barely missed the deadline for the new year and got time to explore the place before being shipped off. I haven't been keeping in touch with my dad as much as I probably should, but I'm sure he'll be happy to see me.
Remy,
As they reached the edge of a sloping cliffside, the city came into view. Romstead.
It's been years. Did you find the cure?
Did you find the cure? I sent you off for one fucking job, and you fuck it up.
Ow,
You make me do this to you. Why do you make me hurt you?
Dad, these are my friends. You don't have any friends. You're worthless. They're all like in the back, like not making eye contact, kicking up dirt. Like, oh man, whew. Oh no, he just does it because he loves me. Get the fuck out of my sight. You're worthless. I wish you had died instead of your sister. All right.
Occupied a massive deposit of pale granite jutting out over the ocean for a length of several miles. The city had been carved straight from the rock. Thousands of little buildings all vying for space overlooking the sea. The city was so thick with structures that Remy could hardly even see the ocean. Wide pavilions of garish cloth covered switchback walkways between successive levels, all the way down to the docks. Romstead wasn't walled and gated like Alinea, so they encountered no guardhouses or inspections as they neared. Instead, they found themselves swallowed by sprawling slums of old wooden homes set back from the wealthier stone districts. Nor were the merchants and peddlers restricted to a market district as they were in Alinea. No sooner had they made their way inside than they were accosted with the shouts of peddlers and street performers. Remy found herself smiling as they walked past the street vendors hawking fresh fish, pearls, and exotic wares from Midara's distant shores. Whoa, it's like Pike Place. Nightingale beamed, remembering the city she was from on Earth. She watched a man toss a fish towards another merchant and clapped, "So cool! Come on, we have a long way to walk still." Remy pulled at her wrist, and Nightingale hesitantly let herself get pulled away from all strange street performers and exotic foods. They were dragging.
So, is there a reason they don't have technology?
I think it's just fantasy.
Just to keep a fantasy setting.
Just one of those things.
Yeah, gotcha. Because it's like, I mean,
because the portals are magic.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they ever stated what like year Earth is at, but apparently, like Nightingale even mentioned, oh well, good thing there's no data for them to keep track of us. So obviously, like there's computers and logs and stuff, and
you know of them.
So I honestly think it's just one of those. Oh hey, we need a fantasy world, and they can't have technology. Yeah. Otherwise, wouldn't that be sci-fi?
Wouldn't that really be a touch sci-fi?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantasy sci-fi.
Yeah.
To the edge of the highest level of the city and reached the thick stone balcony overlooking the sea. "Where's your house?" Nightingale glanced down the switchbacks where it appeared the houses grew more modest the further down one looked. Only the finest, largest mansions were up here, where there was both safety from storms and a perfect view. Remy gestured to one side, to a wide boulevard lined by towering mansions. This way. We're almost there. Thank God. Zeke's voice was low and a little annoyed. You think your father keeps cigarettes? I smoked my last one an hour ago.
He's already
Remy
Jones
shook her
into
head.
one.
I doubt it. I don't think I ever saw anyone smoke, even the staff. Rook chuckled. I think you've got a problem. In a few hours, it'll be your problem, too. Zeke smiled as he said it, but his expression was deadly serious. The street
Your problem, too.
was far
Sharpening
less
his
crowded than the
sword.
market had been. What few people they passed were all well dressed, in bright linen and silk instead of rough cloth and armor. Many had sturdy-looking mercenaries escorting them, an even higher mark of privilege than all the fine clothing. Remy stopped at the finest house on the street. This is the place. Her friends gaped, and Remy could hardly blame them. The mansion was built in the Moorish style, though the many arches and fine stone had also been built big enough to prevent easy entry. Even the path leading to the door was elegant, with a bright geometric mosaic and dozens of exotic plants. You live here? Nightingale asked. Don't take this the wrong way or anything, Remy, but...
But you're
Was it
dirty
wrong
and
for her to feel a
poor.
little smug to see that look on Princess Nightingale's face? Probably. While the place wasn't as grand as Balthazar's castle, it made the young manor that Zeke and Nightingale had been living in look like a one-bedroom apartment. I know I'm not royalty or anything. Remy started walking again, squaring her shoulders for an uncomfortable reunion. But my father's an important merchant. He must be a skilled capitalist if you live like this, Rook said. You've got me all worried about what you'll think when you see my tiny farm. Though I guess it was a great idea coming here regardless. We'll get night cured in no time.
This is where we find out Remy is like this egotistical asshole. She's like, oh, Rook, I would never step foot on a farm.
Never.
Like, now that we even know she comes from money, she has this elitist mentality. She's like, oh, I just kind of dirtied myself up to make you guys feel better.
Playing a bunch of fucking rich kids. Except for Rook here.
That's true. But he's like the smartest one. Oh, I think that's what he got. I think he got enhanced intelligence. Because I don't think it's always physical
Yeah.
transformation.
Well, they said he was like blitzing through the books. And
Yeah.
and then he's super strong.
Yeah, so I wonder if Zeke got like agility
Could be.
and immunity to lung cancer.
I guess. Just smoke all you want.
Right? Because I was thinking, I was like, okay, they're immortal, but that doesn't mean they're indestructible. Like, they just don't age and die. It's like, you can still get cancer, dude.
Yeah.
But I mean, if there's heal.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, got AIDS again. Better take my NyQuil cold flu and AIDS.
Yep.
All gone.
Yeah. Remy stopped in front of the massive oak door. She reached for the handle. You sure your father will be okay with all of us staying here? Nightingale asked. We could probably find an inn or something for the
yeah,
night.
you'll sleep in
Come
the
back in the
quarters.
morning? Nah, it'll be fine. What are friends for, right? She knocked several times and the hollow sound reverberated through the house beyond. Footsteps sounded on the other side and several heavy bolts rattled as they were unlocked. The door slid open, revealing a tall, thin woman in the red and black Moretti colors. Hello, Mia. A long time no see. Remy? A skeptical expression turned to
Miss
a grin and she
Remy.
bowed. Your father will be delighted to hear you're back. Mia didn't fit the bill as a steward. Instead of a face lined with wrinkles or hands covered with the calluses from hard work, she was tall and beautiful, with a short, tight dress that had pieces of cloth that
'Cause of
fell in an
course.
elegant pattern down to her boots. Remy's shoulders relaxed, her wings slipping into a more comfortable folded position behind her. Maybe this wasn't going to be as hard as she thought. I was hoping to speak with him right away. Is he home? Mia reached up, scratching idly at the precise bun she was wearing. Aye, he's in a meeting now. I'm sure he would be happy to interrupt it and visit with you, though. That would be wonderful. Mia opened the door the rest of the way and led them inside. Where the outside only hinted at extravagance, the interior had been furnished without restraint. A wide courtyard of pools and fountains was in the center of the house, each glittering with semi-precious stones. Fine artistic pieces were displayed along the halls in plinths of exotic wood. They walked the length of the house until Mia stopped beside a door almost as thick as the front. Just give me 1 minute. I'm sure your father will drop whatever he's doing to meet with you, and your... Her eyes flicked briefly to Nightingale, then back. She vanished inside the door, snapping it shut behind her. Does your father's servants all dress so... Zeke shrugged. Inviting?
Inviting?
Remy cocked an eyebrow. I've never noticed, but yeah, the girls all have the same outfit, and she's not a servant. More of a steward, really.
Sex.
Never noticed? Wow. Okay. Zeke patted his pockets and then
I mean,
his
her
arms.
tits are like
I really
right
miss
there.
Luke.
I thought you dressed provocatively, but damn.
Woo.
Just don't want to make your dad work that hard, huh?
Not in here, you don't, Remy snapped. Zeke sighed and the door opened again. Mia stepped out, followed by a pair of men so large they scarcely fit out the door. Remy didn't know them by name, but she could easily recognize her father's mercenaries for what they were. She looked back, trying to be reassuring as her friends stared. Remy felt relieved as the mercenaries hurried away down the hall, taking their armor and enchanted-looking weapons with them. Go on in, Mia nodded respectfully to the open door. He's waiting. Thank you, Mia. Remy strode past the steward into her father's open study, followed closely by her friends. Compared to the huge windows and flowing light in the rest of the house, her father's study was gloomy. She had to pause for a second to let her eyes adjust. The fire crackled against one wall, though metal shutters covered much of it and only let through a few flickers of the light. Soft carpet muffled their steps, leading the way to a ring of comfortable-looking leather sofas.
It's good scripture.
Her father was waiting in an armchair, arms folded. Annoyance turned to joy as he looked up and met her eyes. Remy, I had no idea you'd returned. It was easy to see why there
no
were so
idea
many
how
bad
little I
rumors about
cared.
Malik Moretti. Even sitting down, he looked imposing. A solid figure with wickedly curved purple horns and serrated spikes poking out from his armored shoulders.
There's a picture of him. You ready?
Oh, sure. Jesus Christ.
Malik Moretti. I know.
Jesus.
That's
To look a little more evil.
Really stepping it up a notch there, dude.
right.
So you want to date my daughter?
Not anymore. Well, you just have to survive through the 12 levels of whatever. I got
Christ.
nothing. Yep. I was sitting there and I'm like, I thought they were going to show the sex slave, but I'm like, oh, that's her dad. And like the kingdom is not keeping tabs on this guy. Like,
His eyes were the hardest part to get used to. Red and always faintly glowing.
Jesus.
Remy wasn't intimidated anymore, and she let only her excitement show. Just got back. I came straight home. Her father released her after another few moments, only then noticing she wasn't alone. You brought friends. From the Institute, I assume. She nodded. We took the mass together. I never could have passed it without their help. Then on behalf of the Moretti family, you have my gratitude, he said, though he was no longer looking at her. Malik seemed to be staring at Zeke and Nightingale. Please, sit down. I'll have Mia bring refreshments and we can talk. A few minutes later, and they were all sitting and enjoying glasses of chilled juice. So you graduated then. 2 years of hard work has paid off at last. Remy nodded. A few nights ago. That's fantastic. Malik touched her on the shoulder, grinning. I'm sorry I couldn't attend the ceremony in Alinea myself. He looked sidelong at Nightingale, quick enough that Remy almost missed it. I'll have to find you an appropriate gift to commemorate the occasion. I'm grateful, but... She took a deep breath.
perhaps I'll behead your
What I
childhood best
really
friend.
need is information. See, my friend Nightingale here got into some trouble, and we're looking for information about Theodosian magic. If you could direct us to someone who can use the magic, that'd be great. But even if all you had were a book or an acquaintance who could tell us about it, that would be helpful too. Malik's expression darkened as he stared.
Yo, it's chilled juice.
Chilled juice. Just spit his chilled juice out. Theodosian!
You mean the child skinners? What? Yeah, that's how they performed all their magic. Oh!
Oh, Christ.
Rook, you sure we need them to save Nightingale? That's the only way. Guess we better find some kids.
Yeah.
Openly at Nightingale. Princess Nightingale arson? Nightingale seemed confused by Malik's tone. Yes, sir? Did the king send you? He rose suddenly from his chair, stepping between Nightingale and the shelf of ledgers. I assure you, I've obeyed his injunctions in every respect. You'll find a royal inquiry to be an absolute waste of our time. Remy cleared her throat loudly,
I'm
rising
doing
too.
nothing illegal.
Nightingale's my friend. She hasn't come for any sort of inquiry. I'm sure she knows as little about what you're talking about as I do. Malik seemed to relax. Is that true, Princess? Nightingale grinned widely. The king doesn't tell me shit, Mr. Moretti. We just came because Remy said you might be able to help. I see. He sat back down and looked back towards Nightingale with a smile. Not very ladylike, are you? I imagine your father would
Kind
be
of a
pleased with you
skank.
using that kind of language.
Skirts.
Nightingale just shrugged and took another sip
It's
from
like
the juice
super
she'd been
slutty
given.
dress stewards.
Then Malik continued with a laugh. Please excuse me then. So you needed help finding information about Theodosian magic, wasn't it? Yeah, Remy said. That won't be too hard, will it? Malik looked thoughtful.
It's
I have an
impossible.
informant who might have what you need, but it will take time. A few days at least. That shouldn't be a problem. Remy turned towards the single small window that faced the central courtyard. Unlike many of the others, this one was made of stained glass, protecting the privacy of those inside while still permitting a little light in. We've got enough rooms for my friends, right? Malik thought for a moment and then sighed. I'm sorry, Remy, but that won't be possible. He looked past her again, directly at Nightingale. You've been here too long already.
Like, imagine he just gets up in the
News that
morning.
it-
He's in just a robe, and his like hair is fucked up, and he's just tired. Just long night.
Oh man,
I mean, it probably takes like 3 hours to get dressed.
it's magic.
belt
No,
buckles
he like
and
walks
spiky
walks
shoulders.
into his office and it's just like it's like a cut, and then he's just like he walks like it's like if it was a movie, it'd be the frame of both, and then he walks past the doorway and he's in that
Yeah,
immediately.
just-
But his eyes are always bleeding, apparently. Oh man,
Jesus Christ.
$100. We fight him.
Any princess of Alinea slept under my roof ever reached Balthazar, it would be trouble for all of us. Balthazar already despises me more than any of you know. He
Weird.
would see this as a personal affront. He turned the other way, towards where Zeke slouched in another of the comfortable
Because you look like
armchairs.
the world eater.
You're Zeke Jong, right? I'm sure your cousin would be happy to accommodate you.
You're Zeke Jong, right? That's your mom.
How's your mom?
Zeke's doing it. I know, man. It's been a while. You got a cigarette? Like that.
Just anytime they bring up her mom, they pull out a handkerchief out of nowhere.
He has to wring it out because it's always drenched. You should see my sister growing every day.
Oh, you're in the city. Grace? Zeke said with a start. We'll see. In either case, thanks for your time. They rose, leaving half-eaten snacks where they'd been sitting. Remy glared back at her father in frustration. At least send us a letter or whatever when you figure out something about Theodosian.
No.
Of course. Malik hugged his daughter and talked to her in private briefly before seeing the group off.
Kill them. All right. Wait, it said Malik. Oh, in private. Oh, wait. Malik. A moment, Remy. In private, even her frustration, she didn't argue. These conversations didn't last long. Ooh, so what the fuck did he say to her without us being around? Okay. Now we are in chapter 2. Or it's still chapter 2. Finding an inn.
Finding an inn. Your father looks like a supervillain, Zeke said as they walked back down through the streets of
Trying to get out as
Romstead.
quickly as
I
possible.
mean, I'm not saying he is a villain. I'm just saying that the advancement dealt him a perfect hand. I got my wings and innocent looks from my mom, Remy said, flapping her wings in
I have
Zeke's
to
face
kill people
playfully.
just to prove I'm his
Zeke
daughter.
batted at them, but it was no good. I really need a smoke. Let's just find somewhere to go quickly.
Zeke would 100% be that guy that if he ever found out about weed, that would be his personality.
Yeah.
He'd have the snapback of the weed symbols, just always be like, Zeke, you want to come hang out and spar?
Nah.
I haven't smoked today, so we can't hang out.
Yeah,
Oh, we're
nah.
going to smoke? No. Can't hang out then. Zeke used to be cool. And now, ever since he started smoking pot, everything changed.
Sorry we couldn't stay at my place, Remy muttered sheepishly. Nightingale patted her on the back. It's no big deal. Your father has a nice place, but we'd probably have been cooped up in there till he got the information we needed anyway. Maybe this way we can spend a few days enjoying the city first. They had to ask for directions to Grace's manor every few streets, but it didn't matter really. Nightingale enjoyed talking to so many different people. The advancement didn't always cause noticeable changes to those brought to Middara, but it was fascinating to see the different ways people changed when it did. She spoke to a man with skin like a chameleon, a girl with dragonfly wings, and saw others who were even stranger.
One with a lazy
After
eye.
a few blocks, Nightingale stopped. Noticing Zeke had fallen out of step with them, she hurried over, watching as he exchanged a few coins for a few fresh packs of cigarettes. He grinned as he pulled one out of the pack, stuffing the rest away. Sorry, I was already
There's some
getting
people who just got the worst,
Really
like,
shitty.
constant sunburn, just fucking a limp,
Yeah.
and he tries to go back through the portal. It's like, I didn't have a limp before. This like fucked me.
Like he turned into a half fish.
Yeah, upper body of a mermaid. I feel like you owe me a little.
headache. I think you should give him up, Nightingale mused. He shrugged as he lit it. Nah. Nightingale sniffed at the burning tobacco in the air and grimaced. I wish you smoked something that smelled good at least. Zeke just shrugged again. I actually like the smell. Hey Zeke, your cousin Grace, is she cool? I'm under the impression she runs the
She's
town as the
single.
appointed duchess, Remy said. He drew a long drag from the cigarette, sighing with relief. She was supposedly present when I first came to Middara. Honestly, I
10
don't
minutes.
remember seeing her. I have heard that she's supposed...
Is that how you feel every time you smoke, or is it always just like, God damn it,
God,
every time?
It's really just, why am I doing this? This is just a compulsion at this point.
So this thing, it looks like, obviously it was written modern because they didn't say it in the thing, but it was like, I wish you smoked something that at least smelled good. We need to get you a vape.
Oh,
And I was like, oh, are they going to say that? Yeah, Zeke could also be that vape guy. He mods it, like,
Yeah.
spends all of his, like, he just fucking clouding it. He goes to cloud vape competitions.
Christ.
Like a fucking tool.
like, how do you get into that?
Well, you have nothing and nobody.
No, I'm just like, ugh.
And then you do that, and that's who you are.
to be a lot like her father Yoon, but I guess she had some sort of beef with Balthazar or Kezia or someone. I don't really know the specifics. She was assigned here before I came to Middara, so I got to skip the drama. Nightingale hurried forward a few steps, catching up with Rook and Remy and stopping them on the sidewalk with a held-up hand. It was already getting late, and the setting sun was turning the ocean to shimmering orange color behind them. The activity in the streets wasn't nearly what it had been when they first arrived. Listen, guys, I don't think we should stay with Zeke's cousin, Nightingale grinned. Why not? Rook asked, keeping a watchful eye on the crowd around them. Grace is Romstead's duchess. If we stay there, then two things are going to happen. First, it makes this visit official. My brother will find out we're here faster than he would have already. Second, if she's like any other politician, she'll want to use our visit somehow. Zeke nodded. Probably. What else can we do, though? An inn. Nightingale didn't have far to look, since seeing the sign had been what inspired the thought in the first place. She pointed across the street to a large wooden sign. It said Padraig's Dungeon Arms and included the image of a crude metal gun. How about instead of making ourselves a royal visit, we act like regular people and use an inn? Rook squinted at the sign. Beds, tats, grog, and guns? At least we won't have to go very far if we need anything. I'm in, Zeke said. Sounds like they're having fun in there. Remy leaned in and Nightingale
music
paused to
stops.
listen. Sure enough,
Everyone
she
looks
could
at
hear
them as
many
they
voices
enter.
raised in an off-color song.
Where's the princess?
The interior was everything Nightingale had hoped for and more. Almost every table was packed with happy, tipsy people. Smoke filled the air in multicolored clouds, some of which buzzed with their own faint magical auras. Cards and gambling filled most of the room, while another, slightly cleaner corner of the room was busy with a tattoo artist hard at work on a reclining guest. On one end of the room, there was a sturdy wooden counter with weapons of various kinds hanging just behind it. A barmaid with dark skin made her way through the crowd with a tray of drinks, dodging between patrons and poise as she deposited their orders. A muscular man reclined on a crate by the counter, tinkering with a fine flintlock pistol. He also wore intricate glasses and one of the fullest russet beards Nightingale had ever seen. "Hey!" Nightingale blurted, causing the man to jerk so violently that he nearly fell off the side of his crate. "What the hell?" the man shouted. Realizing she must have startled him, Nightingale lowered her voice. We're looking for the proprietor. Is Patrick here?" He nodded. "That's me." He paused with an incredulous look. Then after a few moments, he continued.
Watch off.
"You here for board or booze?"
Or
"Both.
pussy.
2 rooms and enough drinks to help us relax after a long journey." "Sure thing. I think we've got a few vacancies left." It was hard to be sure, but was that suspicion on his face? Maybe Patrick just wasn't very friendly. "It's 2 gold pieces a night. Take it or leave it."
2 gold!
He huffed. His voice
I'd
was
like to
deep and had a
roll,
gravel
persuasion.
texture to it.
You
Nightingale
failed.
had no idea if that was a lot of gold for a room, but Patrick made it sound like she was getting screwed. She was about to bring
Hopefully
it up when
tonight
Remy
would
popped in
change
next
that.
to her. "I'll get it." Remy leaned over and dropped a small handful of coins into Patrick's hand. Nightingale gave her a look. "Where did that come from?"
We have 328 gold.
It's like, pull that from my brazier.
It's like, I don't think it's like that shocked that Remy would have money, especially if this guy kills everyone and takes
Rich
their
as
money.
fuck. Except for Rook. He's the poor kid.
He's a simple guy. We keep him around because he can kick everyone's ass.
Finding an egg,
No!
he watched with more than a little amusement. "She's a real lightweight, huh? It was pretty alright if he was paying for her booze. Maybe Patrick just wasn't very friendly." "It's 2 gold pieces a night. Take it or leave it." Patrick huffed. His voice was deep and had a gravel texture to it. Nightingale had no idea if that was a lot of gold for a room, but Patrick made it sound like she was getting screwed. She was about to bring it up when Remy popped in next to her. "I'll get it." Remy leaned over and dropped a small handful of coins into Patrick's hand. Nightingale gave her a look. "Where did that come from?"
What the fuck do you think you are?
"Daddy gave me some spending cash before we left,"
Daddy now.
Remy said, smiling.
Yeah.
Nightingale wasn't sure why Mallet got a bad rap. He was pretty alright if he was paying for her booze. She searched for an open space for them all, but could only find a few seats at the bar. "If we're going to be proper adventurers, we should at least have a few drinks." "I'll pass." Zeke took one of the keys from Remy,
Already
shouldering his
doing
pack
coke.
towards the stairs. "I've had
doing-
enough adventuring for one day. Thanks. Give Rook mine. He probably won't even notice." "Thanks,"
Oh, hey, there's
Rook
Patrick.
said, exasperated. "Let's get the only
Fucking
guy that
hipster
seems to be
bartender
paying
right
attention to
there.
our surroundings drunk."
His belt says MCFU. I think it's what it says.
Fuck.
Yeah, MCFU. And, yep. Adri's Dragon Arms. Oh, Patrick's Dragon Arms. Neat. Oh, yeah, I can get behind this guy.
Yeah, yeah.
So this guy's pretty chill. So I want more than anything for this guy to be the biggest hero.
Yeah.
Like he comes in and everyone thinks like, oh,
Steve,
like
yeah.
we're fighting some like demonic beast, and then he shows up and we're like, oh great, I fucking knew you were evil, and he just like absorbs the demon in darkness and kills him. He's like, are you guys okay? So you're not gonna kill us? Why would I? No.
Why do we Shadow Priests get such a bad rep?
Look, there's just
You're
as much.
Shadowcist.
There's just as much
Be
good
woke.
in the dark as there is in the light. The dark hides the scary things.
Get woke.
Yeah, I guess. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Although, it might
Give me
be
a
nice
kiss on
to
the
take
lips.
the edge
There
off.
it is.
Nightingale glared at Zeke's retreating back, but didn't try to argue. Instead, she turned to the others. "You guys want to have a drinking contest?" Halfway through Nightingale's first day of
I know I keep pausing it. I hate her. I hate. She's just so ignorant. It's like, God. So she's like, I don't think we should stay with this sister or his cousin. I think we should do this. Let's be real adventurous. It's like, you were possessed because of your stupid decisions. And she says, oh, she always has something to say. And it's like, shut the fuck up. Like, Zeke just wants to have a nice smoke and be left alone. Like, maybe cop a feel with Remy. And you just keep getting in the way. She has stupid freckles, too.
And she was asleep. Remy watched with more than a little amusement. She's a real lightweight, huh? Remy perched beside Rook on one of the rickety bar stools. After an hour or so, the tavern began to empty, its patrons heading up to their beds or out to later venues. It's not just her, Rook said. There was more than a little slur to his words. Exhaustion doesn't mix with alcohol. He glanced once around the inn, at mostly empty tables. I think I'm done. He rose, swaying for a moment. I think I'll take Night up, too. You think you'll be all right down here?
He just, like, drags her past out from her hair. Just, I'll take her.
I think I'll have one more and go to bed. All right. Rook gently shook Nightingale awake, and the two made their way upstairs in a stupor. Time passed. Remy wasn't really sure how much, though. She exchanged her empty mug for a full one and watched the bar empty in the mirror behind the counter. Eventually, the hearth had burned down, and all the other tables were empty. She sat alone at the bar with a mug she hadn't touched in at least an hour. You look troubled. It was the inn's proprietor, Patrick, with a mug of his own. He took the seat beside her unceremoniously, taking a long sip as he did. You could say that. Remy had run out of restraint 2 or 3 drinks back. I didn't think I'd be sleeping in an inn tonight. Why is that? Patrick asked as he took another swig. My dad.
Here, have this drink.
I know he's not the nicest person on Middara, but he's always been good to me. It's the first time I've seen him in 2 years, and he won't even give my friends a place to stay. Patrick nodded with the knowing confidence of a bartender. It probably has something to do with your friend. I never heard of a Moretti anywhere near an arson, unless they were locked in irons, of course. Remy looked up, but the man's colored glasses were starting to blur into the wall behind him. You know me? She shifted uneasily in her seat. Malik might not officially own Romstead, but he owns Romstead. He raised a glass towards the nearby window with his mug, then took another long sip. You sure it's cool to spend time with the princess? I doubt your parents are any happier than hers about the whole thing. Nah, it's cool. Remy got to her feet, tossing her pack onto her shoulders. She had to try 3 times before she got it. We graduated together. Institute. Balthazar was at the graduation even. Remy set her mug down, not even noticing that she'd sloshed a portion of it onto the floor. I think I should sleep. Long day tomorrow.
Take this off.
Patrick didn't move from the stool. Go slow, don't puke, or I'll make you clean it up. Yeah. Remy threw a hand as if she was knocking his words out of the air.
On the floor.
I'll be fine. Plus, you couldn't make me clean it up. My dad owns the city, remember? I'd send his goons after you. She gave him a toothy grin and a lazy wink. Then she lifted her finger up in the shape of a gun. Pew, pew! She slurred and added a fake recoil to her fingers. Remy stumbled away, making her way upstairs. Patrick watched her leave, frowning at her comment.
You're gonna regret those pews. Yes. Blows her fucking knees off. Alright, commotion downstairs. And then we're almost done.
Oh boy!
Then we can finally play.
Commotion downstairs. Despite last night's act, Rook was neither drunk nor particularly tired. The advancement had granted him an incredible fortitude. So when he heard the sound of breaking glass and shouting through the floor, he was up and awake almost instantly.
Nani?
He hefted his weapon, then kicked Zeke's cot with one foot. Zeke woke on the third kick and spasmed, shoving violently at the empty air. He looked as though he were about to shout at Rook for waking him, until he heard the screaming. Rook couldn't make out the words, though the hostility was plain enough. They snuck out into the hall, Rook moving far quieter than anyone his size should be able to. Nightingale was already waiting there, crouching by the stairs with a weapon in her hand. Once they were out and onto the landing, voices from downstairs carried clearly, "Damn it, Patrick! I thought you cared about this city. About me." Rook didn't recognize her voice, though her fury was impossible to miss. Nightingale feigned a tactical SWAT hand movement that made no sense to Rook and then crawled closer to the stairs. Rook simply nodded
Let's
and
use
followed
our
her with Steve
eyes
behind him.
to see.
Together they snuck closer, Nightingale at the lead as they tried to get a better view. "I do, Aisling," Patrick said, sounding more than a little defensive. "Why do you think I've been helping you all this time? You never would have learned where that damn artifact was if I hadn't." "Then why are you bailing on me?" the girl responded. Something heavy smashed with the sound of splintering wood. "You think I'm safer doing this on my own?" By then, Rook had made it far enough down the stairs that he could glance over the banister at the speakers. Patrick had his back to the bar, surrounded by debris. Broken bottles, a shattered chair, and an ocean of playing cards made the floor by his boots almost disappear. The woman facing Patrick was nearly as tall as Patrick himself, with long red pigtails and clothes all of tight white fabric.
Oh, that's the first
She
chick.
had a bandage over.
Huh?
That's the chick from that we're commenting on at the beginning of the chapter. The way they're describing her.
The chick.
In the white outfit with the long red hair?
The servant? Mia?
No, for the beginning of the chapter, the one we were commenting on with the red hair and the...
I'm so lost. Beginning of chapter 2?
Yeah.
Alright, chapter...
That chick. That's who he's talking to right now.
Hell yeah, he is. God.
Oh, they're gonna fuck.
Let's hope and we get to watch. Alright.
Eye, and the other was wild with frenzied emotion. "Aisling, listen." Patrick had his hands in front of him defensively and wasn't reaching for a weapon. "There's a better way. But if we resort to the same techniques..." A board squeaked under Nightingale's feet, and she swore under her breath. Aisling's head snapped around at the sound. "Who the hell are you?" She sounded even angrier than she had been a moment earlier. "You know what? I don't care." She kicked the nearest table leg so sharply that it splintered, sending the whole thing crashing down in front of her. "Forget it, Patrick. You've obviously got your hands full with the inn or whatever. If you ever grow a goddamn backbone, you know where to find me." "Aisling, wait," Patrick called after her. She ignored him, vanishing out the door and into the early morning light. They made their way down onto the ground floor, a mixture of shame and curiosity on their faces.
Morning.
Instead of screaming at them,
Nice
Patrick
house.
got a broom from behind the counter and started sweeping up broken glass. "Hey, so you guys hear all that?" "Yeah," Nightingale said, now fully awake.
Who was
"Pretty much." Patrick leaned back on the counter, sighing deeply. Look, you guys keep your mouths shut, and you can stay tomorrow for free." "Keep our mouths shut about what?" Remy's voice came from the stairs, sounding strained. She stumbled out, hands rubbing gently at her temples. She didn't exactly wait for an answer. "Anybody got an aspirin?" "I've got black coffee." Patrick ran one hand through his beard, glancing behind the counter and into the kitchen. "Well, I had black coffee. I could put another pot on, though. Just let me get this mess cleaned up before anyone else wakes up." Nightingale reached out, touching Patrick's arm. "Hey, Patrick, it's a deal. We won't tell anyone." "Good." He relaxed visibly, picking up the broom again. "Thanks."
Bang.
After a few moments, Zeke approached, waving a piece of paper in the air. "No way," he said with a dumbfounded look. "Check this out, guys." The piece of paper in his hand contained a picture of a grotesque-looking animate. Nightingale snatched it out of his hand and held it up. "Ha! We've seen this guy before. Actually fought him. Hey, is this a reward poster? Does this mean we get a reward if we killed him?" Patrick snatched it out of her hand and looked. "You guys killed a warden?" It was strange that Patrick was helping them as much as he was, but his inn offered a wide selection of impressive gear, and there really wasn't any reason not to shop before departing.
Alright. Flag check. Does the party have the story flag bouncer bounced?
We do.
Yes. Alright. Patrick looked impressed. If the party could kill such a horrible monster, they must be more experienced than he thought. Each party member gains 1 XP. Unfortunately, the one who posted the reward was killed months ago. There's probably no chance for a reward.
Aw.
So, But that does put Nightingale at 4, Zeke, Rook, and Remy at 5.
And
in terms of
so
XP.
it's so if I already have 2, damn man. So if I already it was 3 plus for each one that I have.
In terms of leveling up?
Yeah.
So no, the level 2s are 5. Like, so if you're going into Sanctum level 2s.
Okay.
Or Sanctus.
Well, fuck. Let's just do that.
Well, so it is... Yeah, there's a lot of 3s here. God damn it. I looked through this whenever I was talking about, like...
But if I'm doing one at the same rank, it costs 1 more.
So it is... I'll just find it real quick. Just to... Disciplines 34. So, it is... The XP cost is listed in the top left corner of the card. This cost is increased by +1 XP for every other discipline of the same level an adventure already has.
Of the same level?
Yes.
Okay.
Is listed alongside the XP cost as a reminder for players. Disciplines... yes, or learning disciplines 24.
But if I get a level 2, I just have to pay whatever it's listed. It was just 5.
Let's see. Okay. Regardless of which game mode you're playing when learned, you must spend XP to learn from any of the available discipline trees. In order to learn of a higher level in a tree, you must already... Yes, so... Yeah, I think it just costs, that cost. But the plus is if it's of the same level, and it costs an additional 1 of the same level. Regardless of type. So to basically, to multi-class in different disciplines, like if I wanted to have like Nightingale or... I mean, so for example, I have a level 1 Subterfuge and a level 1 Martial. The level 2, or the level 1 of Subterfuge was 4 XP because it was 3 plus the other level 1.
Gotcha. Oh, I can get a res.
Ooh, that'd be hot.
Once per encounter.
Well, real quick, so now we continue the story around Romstead Exploration, which is here. Tip! New loot levels and alternate tags. Starting in this story round, adventurers have access to common items. In the following encounters, the loot level will also now be common. Don't forget to look at the back of the large intelligent combatant cards with an alternate tag. These combatants contain special rules on when and how they spawn. The first alternate combatants will be used from this point forward. Don't forget to keep an eye on the current loot level. So
the
now...
current loot level is common.
The current loot level is now common.
Okay.
So, shop and train. You may spend gold and learn disciplines with XP. In addition, you may trade any gear amongst your party members and party stash. The store contains the following items for sale. So, all common items. All upgrades players have unlocked, which is none. We have 1 random common unique item that will be available to... let's see. 1 rare common unique item. And I'll find all that in a sec. But yep, and then all non-unique accessories and all non-unique items from previous tiers. So back to mundane.
Okay.
We can explore. As a group, choose one of the following and then proceed to the listed page. You may not choose a side quest. You've already attempted this adventure. If you have no side quest, so we do have a side quest we could go do somewhere. I thought I had it out, but I don't. We can do the side quest Malik's Mission. Or we can venture forth. Main quest, Murdered Informant. So, obviously we're going to shop and train, but do we want to do a side quest or a main quest?
always down for side quests.
Okay.
I'm a grinder.
Alright, so let's do the side quest next, but we will do all the shopping and stuff off camera, but this is now where we finally get to do something!
Yeah!
So,
I want to buy a gun. Apparently there's guns.
Oh yeah, maybe. Alright, so that was that, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. Stick around for the rest of the series. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.